TV. I am not black. I am not black.
Already have that extreme problem, that spiritual crisis, or what they're calling a bifurcation madness. Because you're already, right now as we're speaking, you're starting to understand that these possibilities are there, so that sudden jolt don't snap you out of reality, okay? But it says the planetary grid networks have been rapidly shifting levels of electromagnetic polarity via the acceleration of a tri-wave solar plasma. These currents, which are inspiriting matter through an ongoing process of solar symbiosis. And they're saying that's a process which blends physical matter with solar plasma. The radical change in planetary magnetism has ripple effects in the grid network, which are rearranging the structures of our body templates. And
pause. Now he says solar symbiosis, right? Now, what movie did I bring up to y'all and told y'all that, you know, that representing us as well? Let me bring it to you. Venom. What was the scientists talking about? That the venom before it came into someone's body, what did it look like? It looked like dark matter. And then what happens when it came into the body? What did he say? Symbiosis, right? Understand that they had to put all this in front of our faces. But if we don't understand science, again, the science is the science fiction. The science part is correct. The fiction is a lie because of the people that they are depicting that have these abilities.
Life in the solar system. And this directly impacts the human body and its ability to transmit, listen, new instruction sets to the DNA. How many times have you heard that the God code is in the DNA? And the scientists try to call it the junk DNA, but the code is there. He's trying to wake that code up.
So who has 96 to 98% animal DNA, and who has 95 to 97% junk DNA? Who has that? Okay, keep it moving.
Knows the evil. The evil knows he's coming. It says, as the vast amounts of solar plasma streams entering the magnetosphere run directly into the planetary core. They call it a crystal core because you do have so much. Look at, you have so much crystal type cores in the planet. You saw the electromagnetic pulses in the ground, right? The ground currents and how hot they were. And one of you guys commented as we were looking at it really turning red up the Appalachian chain all the way up the Northeast, that there was a tremendous amount of granite in those mountains, and they carry a lot of current. And you had problems with your equipment, saws and things like that, trying to cut this granite, because probably during those solar episodes, a lot of electricity passing through that rock you're trying to cut. But that has to do with volcanoes, anything, energy transference that will affect an earthquake. You've seen the sky glow, and that has to do with piezoelectricity, that pressing of crystals together. And they're saying as it goes into the core of the earth, it sets a new magnetic wave resonance pattern. Did you listen? Now, what is the resonance? What is the Schumann resonance? I've always said it's God's communication link with us, and that CERN and the satellites would interfere with it until our Father decided, with the angel pouring out the vial upon the sun, he's going to take down all that interference. It says, this organic magnetic wave pattern appears to have extremely amplified effects. Let me say that again, extremely amplified effects on the body. Now, guys, have you felt like not only were you sore, dizzy, had to lay down, hurting, all of those, but at times did you feel like you drank like 10 cups of coffee? Do you realize that section of what we're going through may be part of this DNA change, this hypering of the frequency. Think about what I'm saying.
Okay, here we go. ARS, acute radiation syndrome, or overload of radiation in a short period of time. Acute radiation syndrome, ARS, also known as radiation sickness. Now, who gets sick from the light from the sun? Yeah, how would you get sick? You see plants, you see crocodiles, lizards, reptiles, you see lions, you see elephants, you see anything natural in nature getting sick from the sun. That's virtually impossible. Only unnatural things are becoming sick from the sun, and they're only becoming sick because the sun is really trying to heal you. Acute radiation syndrome, ARS, also known as radiation sickness, is a biological condition characterized by the acute illness that result from whole body or significant partial body exposure to ionizing radiation at high doses over a short period. It's a consequence of cell damage and subsequent organ system reaction to the radiation. The severity of ARS depends on the radiation dose received and can lead to various symptoms like nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and skin damage, according to the Center for Disease Control. Now, again, look up the symptoms from what you would call the jab that you had to get your jab for, and look up these symptoms. It's also cancerous. It also destroy in DNA. And the one portion of the DNA that I talked about is the 1p36 chromosome. Look up 1p36 chromosome and look at what happens when that chromosome becomes damaged. We don't have what you would call 46 chromosomes. We don't have 22 extra chromosomes from our parents, and 22 from the mother, and 22 from the father. We don't have none of that shit, because if you look at those 22 chromosomes that we supposedly have, they are autosomal chromosomes, which are recessive genes. And here are the recessive traits from those chromosomes: Tay-Sachs disease, cystic fibrosis, sickle cell anemia. And you know what sickle cell anemia runs rampant into our community? Because of the antigens that are attached to our cells. That is what it is. Pause.
Now, when you start talking about changes in the DNA within physical matter, you're this dead to the point of what we're saying, the reactions that we're seeing. They're saying it is like an ascension wave, again, kind of like the rapture, which is not a physical thing. It is a spiritual thing. A great way. Thing, by the way, you will die before your rapture. Your body doesn't just start losing gravity connections and you float away like a butterfly. It's not what happens. It says these waves of accelerated body activation are taking place in the collective race consciousness to attune the human light body. Who was the light bearer? Satan was, but Christ brought the light. It says to attune the human light body into spiritual alignment with the solar codes through the DNA tones. In other words, all the planets are getting this tone, their magnetics back into a vibration pattern that coincides. And he's going to do it to your bodies too. And he's going to erase the DNA destruction. And remember the trauma being gone? No more tears. Does that bring them about anything in your mind? I'm sure it does. It says,
it sure does. 400 years of slavery. As a matter of fact, it was longer than that, because the Asian race enslaved us first, the Arab race enslaved us second, and then you had the English, the Turkish, the French, the Dutch, all of them enslaved us. Yeah, all of that trauma, tears, all of that stuff is gone. I don't know why other races of people or the complex cell always try to mix their trauma in with so-called black people when y'all was the one that caused the problems in the first place. This is so sad, and it's really sad because, I really empathize for these people, because these people are up for the shock of their lives. We are too, but these people, they are really up for the shock of their lives.
This is to help support the human race. This information is in spiritual families to be increasingly stabilized while experiencing the magnitude of shifts happening. Well, we just talked about that. things coming up on the planet, or this information, could it stabilize you? Could just listening to it raise that frequency inside you, make you think to where it will not be such a destabilizing effect when this shift happens. And it's going to include, they're saying, the global revelation of the future disclosure events. It's incredible, this information coming out on the scientific end of it, looking at it through very high-tech thought patterns, to be honest with you. This new magnetic wave, that's important. It's being transmitted to the outer domains in the first individual expression of God's consciousness that is referred to as the cosmic monad. That's an old term, guys, basically Christ. It's causing the outer grids, they're talking about, you're looking at the other planets, to rapidly shift density and retune their magnetic sound tone properties. The rapid shift in density requires an electromagnetic synchronization to occur between the inner domains and the outer domains, space and Earth, and inside Earth, also inside your body. It says they co-create new elemental forces while changing the magnetosphere. The sound's elementals produce magnetic shifts. Again, the sound elementals are the tone changes in the frequencies. And guys, have you ears not been ringing when we're seeing extremely high solar winds? Anyway, that's a tone shift in a sense. It says that the sound elementals produce magnetic shifts which alter the rotational spin of the energy fields throughout the planetary grid. Now, that's inside the planets and inside of the Earth, all of us, all of the bodies. It says, which further activates the atoms to adjust the spin rate in our cells. What about drinking too much coffee while we're feeling this? Which are quickly rising in frequency and vibrating at a much faster rate. The coming of our fathers is what we're talking about and possibly witnessing for the first time. I've never seen the reaction to a solar storm the way the last Thursday on the 16th occurred. All over the internet, people that knew what they were talking about and the people that were commenting in their videos, everybody was affected. And why now? You're listening to why. Because they're talking about the frequency is increasing so much that it is starting to override some of the effects of CERN and the other man-made objects like that. Again, they're calling it, fallen angel technology, which I have no doubt whether they're fallen angels or not. It's an advanced civilization technology, wherever it came from. Now, they're talking about because of the frequency increasing and starting to override some of the machinery that is perpetuating these false magnetic fields and the modulation of the magnetosphere. And they're using organic violent ray transmissions, which are being saturated with intense streams of higher frequencies. Now think about that. The higher frequencies are coming from the sun and the solar system. But the ancient machinery is getting dumbed down somewhat. They're calling it the magnetic fields and the modulation of the magnetosphere. So that, to me, directly relates to the anguish of the change. That, again, when men may wish to die but cannot.
Yep.
That change is coming. If we're not ready for it, it's going to be extremely more painful.
Yep, what I told you. They're going to wish to die, but you're not. Even our people are. After we realized that we were feeding this, we were creating the world, we were creating the prison in which we have been complaining about, and we handed our children over.
Off guard is not a good thing to do when you're...
Listen, I'm going to end it with this. As above, so below. As without, so within. I remember the fake accounts used to come on my page and talk about genetics or try to sway me from genetics. Now they done moved away from that. You all are afraid. Remember when Neil said at the end of the Matrix, I can feel you now. I can feel your fear. You are afraid. Abundance and gratitude to all.
Raw TV. I am not black.